My heart is beating out of my chest. Fear suffocates me like a pillow that is being held over my nose and mouth. Enough air gets by it, allowing my body to keep functioning, but it's crippling all the same. As much as neither Travis nor I want to, we approach the doors. The building seems to be empty, except for a few obsolete pieces of rusted equipment. They look perfectly at home within the building's vine-covered walls. Just like it was outside, the inside looks like something out of a dystopian movie. The corrugated walls are as rusted and useless as the equipment that they house. Rain is dripping down upon us through the cracks in the ceiling. The building shudders and sways in the wind as the rain attacks it. I shiver as Travis places his hand on the door. Laughter floods our ears again, causing another chill to run through me. I glance at Travis. All of the color has drained from his face, causing him to look as white as a slice of bread. He pulls his hand away, and a handful of the chalky paint falls to the floor in fragments. His Adam's apple bobs up and down as he takes a gulp. Then he licks his lips and gingerly presses his palm back up against the door and gives it a little push. The noise it makes brings a chill to my spine. It creaks so loud that it sounds like a dying animal, crying out in pain and sorrow as it takes its last breath. Travis goes through first, and I follow close behind him. It's dark, but after taking a few steps inside, we are greeted by a replica of the carnival. I'm almost positive it's another one of Destiny's illusions. It's nighttime, but all of the lights shining from the rides and booths are so bright that they light up the night sky. The carnival is completely empty, void of any customers or employees. But as we approach the entrance, I see 4 people standing there waiting. When we almost reach them, I realize that the 2 adults and 2 children are actually my mom and dad, and me and my little brother Brian. I rush forward and reach for Brian's hand just as they walk through the entrance gate. I manage to touch it, but then my fingers glide right through his as they disappear. I tell Travis, we have to follow them, maybe she's trying to lead us to him. But he's very hesitant to go. I think it's a trap. Even if she is leading us to him, it can't be anywhere good. I don't want to scare you, but do you really think that after all this time he's still alive? I stand there for a minute, contemplating how I want to answer his question. In all honesty, no, I don't think he's still alive. I hope that I'm wrong, but I think that all of my friends may be dead. But that's not what I say to Travis, because I don't want him to know that I've given up hope. Instead, I answer, I don't know, but I hope he's still alive. Yeah, me too, he replies. Just then, Alex appears and the 2 of us walk off in one direction while Brian and my parents go off in another. I race after them and Travis darts after me shouting, "Are you sure about this?" Not sure if he can hear me or not, I shout back, "Yeah, now come on." Brian looks so happy as my parents take him on all of the rides. Then suddenly a pang of guilt rushes through me as I'm standing here watching him smile. I wish I'd just stayed with him that night. I remember that he begged me to. He wanted us to hang out and ride the rides together. But I was so hung up on spending time with Alex and the fact that we would be alone together for once without the guys. If only I just stayed with them. Even after my parents met back up with me and Alex, after I had missed my mom's calls and she insisted that we tag along with them, why didn't I just go? Then maybe I could have protected Brian. Maybe I could have saved him. Travis turns to me and asks, "Well, are you coming or not?" I guess I must have dazed out for a minute there. We continue to follow Brian. Now he's standing at the popcorn cart. His eyes light up with excitement as Mom hands him a huge container of buttered popcorn. He starts to eat it while Mom answers her phone and begins to yell at me. When she ends the call, we follow Brian over to the food area next, where him and my parents meet up with me and Alex. My mom yells at me some more, and then we part ways again. Alex and I head to the photo booths, and Mom pulls Brian toward the carousel. Just then, something hits me. Since now I know that Destiny was the Black Shadow all along, I wonder if she was trying to hurt me and Alex that first night at the carnival, when we took the pictures at the photo booth and saw the Black Shadow behind us. I wonder if she settled for Brian instead because he just so happened to be there. After the carousel stops, Mom and Dad take him on a few more rides, then start to head to the exit. That's when it happens. The gentle breeze that is blowing picks up speed, and the gray storm clouds that were threatening to release a downpour and shut down the carnival at any second turn black. Then Destiny appears out of nowhere and walks right up to Brian, offering him a lollipop while my parents' backs are turned. As soon as he takes it from her, she reaches out and snaps the leash in half with her bare hands. Then Brian watches in amazement as she changes into the black shadow right before his eyes and literally just sweeps him up, and they both disappear into the darkness, leaving his toddler leash that he'd had strapped to him floating to the ground. "So that's what happened," I whisper to Travis. "She's showing us what she did, how she took him." Then the carnival suddenly vanishes right before our eyes, and the entrance doors to the hospital appear before us. I look over at Travis. He's already walking inside, so I follow him. As soon as we enter, we are in the basement of the hospital, just like the day that Dominic went missing. It's just me, Destiny, and Alex at first. We are creeping down the corridor looking for the black shadow. Then my phone rings and I stop to answer. I must be talking to Travis. Just as I hang up, we leap into an empty room to dodge a doctor that is coming down the hallway. Once he walks past, we exit the room and continue to walk down the rest of the corridor. When we get almost to the end, we turn around and start to head back, and then the lights start to flicker. The girls huddle together just as the lights go completely out. Then Alex begins to scream and the wind starts up. When it stops a minute later and the lights cut back on, I'm standing in the hallway all alone. Then I dart down the hallway looking for them, and that's when I run into Travis and the twins. I tell them what happened to the girls, then the lights start to flicker again, and that's when I see Brian. So the four of them split up. The other versions of me and Travis go racing down the hallway chasing after Brian, while Dominic and Daniel go chasing after Destiny. This time we follow the twins, hoping that we'll find out what actually happened to Dominic. We trail behind them as they race after Destiny through the dimly lit corridors. Then suddenly, she rushes into a room, but when they go inside, they can't find her anywhere. So they come back out, confused as to what is going on. When they turn to continue down the corridor, they are greeted by a dead end, so they turn around to head back the other way, but are surprised to see the same thing. They are trapped right there in the middle of the hallway between two dead ends. The lights start to flicker. Then Daniel looks around nervously just as the wind starts to howl. The look on Dominic's face tells me that he's petrified. The lights flicker faster and more violently. Then the gust of wind surrounds Dominic in what you could only call a mini tornado of darkness. It's cutting him to shreds, like the darkness is made of razors, tearing his clothes to pieces and leaving cuts all over his body. The powerful wind is slinging blood all over the place. Daniel screams as he watches his brother dying right there before his eyes. He closes them tightly as Dominic's screams get louder. Then the lights continue to flicker until they cut out. When they cut back on, Daniel is curled into a fetal position on the floor with his eyes closed, and the entire corridor is covered in blood. Once Daniel gains enough courage to open his eyes, he realizes that his brother is gone and dashes down the hallway. The lights flicker some more, and even though he can't see it, I can see the black shadow at the other end of the hall coming straight for him. But he manages to bust through the doors to the morgue right before it has the chance to scoop him up. The other versions of Travis and I stand there staring at him, wondering what in the hell is going on. Why is he covered in blood, and where is Dominic? He takes 2 steps toward us and then collapses onto the floor. Then Alex and Destiny burst through the doors on the other side of the morgue and scream as soon as they see Daniel. Everything comes to a standstill, and then a black door appears. Knowing that it must lead somewhere else, because there were only the 2 morgue entrances before, I open it and we cautiously walk through to the other side. We're still in the hospital, but now we're standing outside of another door in one of the hallways upstairs. The door is brown and dull, just like all of the others lining the hallway. But through the window I can see Ben lying in the bed asleep. There is a nurse in there with him, checking all of the machines around his bed. She takes a moment to write something down on her clipboard, then she opens the door and leaves, so Travis and I step inside. The hospital room is as void of beauty as I am of hope. Its walls are simply cream, not peeling or dirty, just cream. There are no decorations at all except for the limp faded green curtain that separates one side of the room from the other. I slowly approach his bed while Travis stays back and waits by the door. Although Ben is sleeping, he keeps flinching like he's in pain. He looks a little better than he did when I saw him hanging from the ceiling of the funhouse, but he's still pretty messed up. He has stitches in his right eyebrow, forehead, and both hands. He's also wearing a cast on his left leg. Just as I make it to the other side of his bed, the windows start to rattle and heavy raindrops begin to pelt against them. The lights flicker and I can hear a gust of wind coming down the hall. Ben jolts awake and frantically presses the call button, knowing that something is about to happen, but he can barely move. Knowing that it's probably the Black Shadow, I scream at Travis, "Shut the door!" He slams it closed, but not even a second later it busts open and all of the windows in the room shatter. We both drop to the floor and cover our heads as glass shards fly everywhere. Even though Ben can hardly move, he tries to climb out of bed but ends up falling to the floor and lets out an agonizing scream. I can only guess that it's from the pain of the broken bones that he already has. Pure blackness starts to seep into the room, dimming the lights to the point where you can't even see through the darkness. It reaches around the walls, ceiling, and floor, quickly approaching him, leaving him nowhere to escape to. He tries to drag himself across the floor away from it, but it quickly catches up to him, and when it does, multiple hands reach out of the darkness of the floor and start dragging him as he yells, cries, and attempts to hold on to the floor tiles. But his fingernails rip off one by one as it drags him closer to the hallway. Once he reaches the doorway, he grabs a hold of the door frame and gives one last cry for help before it takes him and disappears into the darkness of the hallway. Suddenly, everything freezes and Travis and I walk across the room to a door that is covered with Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber posters. I already know where it's going to lead. I open it, step into Alex's bedroom, then Travis steps in and I close the door behind us. Alex is standing next to her bedroom window, looking outside, watching the storm. Then she snatches her walkie-talkie from her desk and plops down on her bed. She's talking to me, telling me how her parents never returned from picking up emergency supplies. "Adam, she says into the walkie-talkie before releasing the button, and then she gets up and begins to walk toward the door when she hears the sound of the front door close. Then her mom calls for her from downstairs. She's still holding the walkie-talkie in her hand, but she's no longer pressing the button. As she opens her door and steps out into the hallway, she whispers to herself, "I thought they got stuck in the storm and couldn't make it home." Then she slowly walks down the hall and turns to go downstairs, but pauses right at the top of them. She's staring down there, trying to see through the intense darkness. "Mom, why didn't you turn on any of the lights?" Then we hear the sound of the light switch clicking as if someone is attempting to turn it on. "Honey, I think the power's still out. Can you please come down here and help us with the bags?" her mom shouts. "Okay," she answers. Then she begins to creep down the stairs. When she's about halfway down them, she hears the sound of plastic grocery bags and cabinets opening and closing. As soon as she enters the kitchen, she sees her mom's silhouette standing at the counter putting stuff away. Her back is turned to Alex, and she is continuously pulling items from a bag and placing them on top of the counter. But the way that she's doing it looks really weird. It's almost robotic, the way that her body is moving. She keeps digging back into the bag and pulling more stuff out. I don't even know if it's possible for so much to fit in one bag. I follow behind Alex as she walks a little closer. Then I stop dead in my tracks when I get a glance of what it is that's being pulled from the bag. It's not groceries at all. They're actually body parts. A small hand that is missing 2 fingers is lying on the countertop, along with one of Dominic's red and white Converse sneakers. He used to wear them all the time. They were his favorite pair, and I remember him wearing them the night he went missing from the hospital. I nearly faint when I see it. I don't think he can see it from where he's standing, but I look over at Travis and then point at it because I'm too shocked to speak. Just as I pull myself together, her mom removes one last thing from the bag. Alex gasps when she notices what it is. Then her mom turns around to reveal a devilish grin, and sitting behind her on the countertop is Ben's head. Alex rapidly lifts the walkie-talkie to her mouth and presses the button, but only manages to let out a blood-curdling scream before the silhouette changes into the Black Shadow. She grabs a frying pan from the stovetop and swings it wildly through the air, but she can't manage to hit anything. It keeps going right through the shadow. Then a squall of wind throws her right through the sliding glass patio doors. I rush over, wishing that there was something that I could do to help her. She's lying outside on the deck now, covered in glass. She still has the walkie-talkie in her one hand and lifts it up to her lips to say something when the black shadow pulls her from the deck into the blackness that should be the backyard. I raise my hand above my eyes and peer out there, but the only thing I can see is her orange walkie-talkie sitting in the darkness, covered in her blood. Every inch of my body goes numb, and one lonely tear flows down my cheek. I wipe it away before Travis can see. Then the room turns black and a door appears where the sliding glass doors had been. We proceed through it, only to find out that we have returned to the abandoned building and Destiny is standing across the room from us. I squint into the darkness, and as if she can read my mind, lights turn on overhead. She doesn't speak, and neither do we. Her eyes are red and bloodshot, and I can see blisters all over her. They're covering her shoulders, arms, and parts of her face. She must have gotten them from the fire. Anger is flowing from every single one of my pores. It's been there for a while, but I've held it inside until now. My vision goes blurry as my mind goes into overdrive, recalling every single moment that she has taken someone from me. It's replaying in my head like a movie scene that's been rewound. I don't think I've ever felt as angry as I do at this very second. Thinking about how this girl, or whatever she is, came into our lives pretending to be our friend and destroyed them. Who the hell does she think she is? Well, are you happy now? Now you know what happened to them all, she says. I shake my head. You didn't show us what happened to Daniel. You two were alone down there in the basement. I know you had to have hurt him too. No, I actually didn't. The fire got him. Serves him right too, since he's the one that started it, she answers as a malevolent grin spreads across her face. Then she runs and disappears through a door on the other side of the room. Travis and I chase through the darkness after her as her voice echoes all around us. I haven't feasted like this in years. I ate them all, every single one of them. I'm only kidding. I still have one left. I was so full that I saved one for later, and then you're going to be my dessert. I frantically follow the sound of her voice, searching the darkness for any sight of her. Then I hear pounding coming from somewhere behind me and the faint sound of Travis's voice shouting, Adam, where are you? Damn it, we must have gotten separated somehow. I yell back, I'm in here. But I don't think it gives him any inkling as to where I am. A sudden sliver of moonlight shining through a window gives me a chance to take a look around. The ground is covered with garbage. Food and drink cartons and containers are strewn throughout the room, some already empty, others full of rotten, moldy food still spilling from them. Tickets and handfuls of tokens that were left behind cover the floor. As light as the room has gotten, I still can't find Destiny. Then I hear her voice again. You've seen things that you shouldn't have seen. You know this is all of your fault, Adam. I'm following the sound of her voice, but no matter where I look, she's not there. Then I see one of those claw games. The glass is smashed and it looks like some prizes were taken, but it's still about a quarter of the way full of stuffed toys. Destiny continues. I can only come out when someone notices me. People see me all of the time, but they don't actually notice me. You did. And not only did you notice me, you pointed me out to all of your friends too. The moonlight disappears and I'm surrounded by darkness once again. Travis starts banging on the door. I realize Destiny must be talking about the black shadow in the background of me and Alex's pictures that we took at the photo booth. I reply, if that was true, then why did you take my little brother? He had nothing to do with any of this. Oh, Adam, but you're wrong. He noticed me too. The little ones always notice me. That's why they're the first ones to go. She reveals before bursting into laughter. Then I start thinking, this really is all my fault. Why in the hell did I have to show them all the black shadow? It was just a stupid shadow. Things like that show up in pictures all of the time. Tears fill my eyes and are just about to spill when Travis's banging snaps me out of it. Then I hear him as clear as day say, "Don't let it get in your head. Watch out!" I dart out of the way just in time. Destiny was lurking behind me and I didn't even know it. She was just about to attack, but Travis must have found another way around and he just saved my life. Now she's vanished into the darkness once again. Once we're sure she's gone, Travis grips me by the shoulders and looks me right in the eyes. "Don't listen to her. She doesn't even know you. You're not weak. You're one of the strongest people that I know. It's weak, and remember, we know what its weakness is." Then he pulls a book of matches from his jeans. He lights one and then tosses it at the pile of dolls inside of the claw machine. It catches fire and he kicks it over. What used to be the bright, vibrant colored checkered carpet erupts in flames. Travis screams, "Come on, let's get out of here." As we race to find the door, the black shadow starts to scream in pain. Terrified, agonizing screams like it knows that this is the end. Travis finds the door and pushes me through first, then slams it closed behind us. I can feel the heat from the fire, and even though it's contained to the one room, I know that it's only a matter of time before it spreads to the rest of the building. As we race through this dark room, I pause when I hear someone screaming and pleading for help. And the voice doesn't belong to just anyone. It's a voice that I recognize. "Travis, that's Alex. She's still alive. We have to help her." He grabs me by the arm as I'm about to run away. "Wait, how can you be sure? You know she can pretend to be other people. What if it's another one of her traps?" "It might be, but I have to see to be sure," I tell him. So we follow the sound of what we hope is her voice. My heart skips a beat when her pleas for help stop. We don't have too much time to search for her. We still have to find a way out of here before the entire building burns down with us still inside. I breathe a sigh of relief when they start back up again. But her screams are combined with the screams of the Black Shadow, and they sound extremely outraged. The closer we get to the sound of Alex's voice, I start to feel little gusts of wind all around me. The smell of the smoke is getting stronger, which is scaring me, because I know that means that the fire is getting closer. We make it to another door and have to bust it down because it's locked, which luckily is easy for Travis. When the door bursts open, we step inside the room and are greeted by a massive ball pit. Plastic tubes, tunnels, and slides are surrounding it, and you have to crawl through them to get to the ball pit, which is in the middle. I scan the room for any sign of Alex. "I know this is where the screams were coming from," I whisper when I don't see anything. Then suddenly, some of the balls begin to rise in a corner of the ball pit, and I hear Alex again. Please let it really be her, I think to myself as I begin to climb the mesh ladder. "Hurry up," Travis yells. I used to do this all the time with my little brother, so I maneuver through the tubes and tunnels with ease. When I reach the slide at the top of the ball pit, I slide down. I can't see anything. I can't breathe. I feel like I'm drowning. But I use all of my strength to push my way through the balls toward the sound of her voice. I see Alex's head bob above the balls again, and she gasps for air. Just when I reach her, I manage to grab her hand. An enormous gust of wind soars into the room past Travis and knocks him off of his feet. Alex is gripping my hand so tightly that it's starting to go numb. "Is it really you?" I question. She nods her head. "How can I be sure?" She thinks about it for a minute, then looks at me and says, "Last year for my birthday, you gave me a dozen roses." My cheeks flush red with embarrassment. Now I know for certain that it's really Alex, because no one else knows about that except for me, her, and my dad. He's the one that bought the roses for me, and I made him swear not to tell Mom or Travis. The Black Shadow appears and races through the tubes, causing them to melt away because part of it is on fire. When it reaches the ball pit, the balls begin to melt and stick to the flames, sinking it deeper and deeper into the ball pit. I pull Alex across to the other side and climb the ladder to get out of there, but she's too weak, so I have to pull her up. Then Destiny's voice floods the room. "You think you can get rid of me? I'm going to eat you all." Then the wind gets stronger. "Come on, we have to get out of here now," I warn Alex. So she tries to move faster as we crawl through the tunnels. When we finally make it out of there, Alex is too weak to walk by herself, so me and Travis lift her up and carry her. When we make it outside, we collapse onto the concrete and stare at the building, watching and waiting until every last beam turns to ashes. Hearing its wails and screams as it dies gives me a feeling of satisfaction that's indescribable. "I thought you were dead," I whisper to Alex. "I thought so too," she replies, resting her head on my shoulder. Once the entire building burns to the ground and we're sure that Destiny and the Black Shadow are gone for good this time, we head home. A year later, the carnival is back in town. Alex and I are hanging out on my front porch when a kid that just moved into the neighborhood approaches us and asks if we're going to the carnival tonight. We look at each other for a moment, and then I reply, "No, I think we'll pass." Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.